Beneath the familiar websites most of us use every day, Google, YouTube, Facebook, lies something deeper. A hidden network. A place designed for anonymity, secrecy, and freedom. This place is called the dark web. It's a world with two faces. On the one hand, it protects journalists, whistleblowers, and people living under oppressive regimes. On the other, it provides shelter for drug dealers, hackers, arms smugglers, and even those who seek to exploit the most vulnerable among us. And within that hidden world, one name has become infamous. A name that shocked investigators and left a permanent mark on the fight against online crime: Peter Scully. His case, tied to what became known as Daisy's destruction, represents one of the darkest chapters in internet history. This video will not describe the contents of that material. Instead, we will look at the bigger picture: who Peter Scully was, how he operated, how the dark web enabled his crimes, how international police finally caught him, and why this case matters for the world today. This is the story of Daisy's destruction, the case that changed how we view the internet's darkest corners. Chapter 1. The man behind the crime. Peter Scully. Peter Gerard Scully was born in Melbourne, Australia in 1963. Outwardly, he was ordinary. A middle-class man who at one point appeared to live a normal suburban life. But appearances can be deceiving. Scully's early years were marked by a pattern of manipulation and crime. He was not a violent figure in his youth, but he had a gift, or a curse, for deception. By the time he reached adulthood, he was involved in scams and fraud. In the 1990s and early 2000s, he ran several property and investment scams in Australia. He convinced people to hand over large sums of money with promises of high returns. But instead of fulfilling those promises, Scully siphoned off the funds and lived luxuriously. As the walls began to close in on him, with police investigations and legal troubles mounting, he decided to run. Around 2011, Scully fled Australia, leaving behind charges of fraud and financial deception. He relocated to the Philippines, a country where poverty is widespread and law enforcement resources are limited. It was there, in the shadows of economic inequality, that Scully's crimes escalated from financial fraud to something far, far worse. Chapter 2. Understanding the dark web. To understand how Scully was able to operate, we need to explore the dark web itself. Most people use what is called the surface web, the websites you can access through search engines like Google. But the internet is like an iceberg. The visible part above the water is only a fraction of its true size. Beneath that lies the deep web, which includes private databases, academic journals, subscription sites, and other material not indexed by search engines. The deep web is not inherently sinister. In fact, most of it is harmless. But deeper still lies the dark web, a part of the internet that is intentionally hidden. It can only be accessed using special tools like the Tor browser. Here, anonymity reigns supreme. Instead of ordinary web addresses, sites often use long, scrambled strings ending in onion. Payments are typically made in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Monero, which make tracing money extremely difficult. The dark web is used by whistleblowers who want to avoid government censorship. It can be a haven for activists under authoritarian regimes. But at the same time, it is also a marketplace for illegal drugs, counterfeit money, stolen credit card data, weapons, and, tragically, human exploitation. This dual nature makes the dark web one of the most controversial creations of the digital age. And it was here that Peter Scully found an audience for his crimes. Chapter 3. The infamous case of Daisy's destruction. Among the illegal content circulating on the dark web, one video became infamous: Daisy's destruction. Created by Peter Scully, it was not just another piece of criminal material. It was so extreme that even hardened investigators described it as the worst thing they had ever encountered. The title alone spread across forums and news outlets. For those who worked in law enforcement, the name became shorthand for the darkest evil imaginable on the internet. It wasn't just the video itself that shocked the world. It was the organized nature of Scully's operation. He had accomplices. He recruited vulnerable women to help him. He targeted children in impoverished communities where families were desperate. and he marketed his crimes on the dark web for paying subscribers. This wasn't random, and it wasn't isolated. It was part of a deliberate network of exploitation. By the mid-2010s, Daisy's destruction had gained global notoriety. The pressure to track down the man responsible grew urgent. Chapter 4. The investigation tracking Peter Scully was no simple task. He had fled his home country, hidden in a foreign land, and used the anonymity of the dark web to cover his tracks. But investigators weren't giving up. Authorities in Europe first picked up on the case, noticing the spread of disturbing material across online networks. Clues pointed toward Southeast Asia. Soon, Australian law enforcement got involved, since Scully was a wanted man back home for fraud. The Australian Federal Police, AFP, coordinated with Interpol and the Philippine National Police. Step by step, they began piecing together digital trails. One of the key breakthroughs came from following Bitcoin transactions linked to hidden dark websites. While Bitcoin is anonymous in theory, every transaction leaves a record on the blockchain. By tracking payments, investigators narrowed down suspects. Eventually, all the signs pointed to Peter Scully. In 2015, after years of investigation, Philippine authorities carried out a raid in Cagayan de Oro, a city in the southern Philippines. Scully was arrested. During the operation, police rescued multiple victims and seized evidence that confirmed his role in the creation of Daisy's destruction. The arrest made international headlines. The monster behind one of the world's worst cases of online exploitation was finally caught. Chapter 5. The Trial and Sentencing. The road to justice was long. Peter Scully faced dozens of charges: human trafficking, child abuse, exploitation, and more. The Philippine justice system moved carefully, gathering witness testimony, digital evidence, and financial records. In 2018, he was handed his first major sentence: life imprisonment. But that was only the beginning. By 2022, Scully was sentenced again, this time to 129 years in prison. Additional cases were still pending, meaning his total time behind bars could grow even longer. The message was clear: Scully would never walk free again. His accomplices, including women who helped lure victims, were also arrested and sentenced. Justice, while delayed, was served. Chapter 6. Global Impact and Reforms. The Scully case was more than just one man's crimes. It was a wake-up call for the entire world. It forced governments and organizations to confront uncomfortable truths about the Internet's dark side. Law enforcement reforms. Agencies like Europol, Interpol, and the FBI began pouring more resources into cybercrime divisions. Stronger laws. Several countries strengthened their child protection and anti-trafficking laws in response to cases like this. International cooperation. The arrest showed the importance of cross-border teamwork. No single country could have caught Scully on its own. Public awareness. News coverage of Daisy's destruction raised global awareness of the dangers of online exploitation. It sparked conversations about parenting in the digital age, online safety, and the responsibilities of tech companies. The case proved that the dark web, while vast and anonymous, was not untouchable. With persistence, coordination, and technology, even its darkest corners could be penetrated. Chapter 7. The Dark Web Today. Even though Peter Scully is behind bars, the dark web continues to exist. For every marketplace or forum shut down, another often appears. Criminals adapt quickly, moving from Bitcoin to more anonymous cryptocurrencies and from one hidden network to another. This is why cybercrime remains one of the greatest challenges of the 21st century. But progress is being made. Artificial intelligence, blockchain analysis, and global task forces are helping investigators close the gap. Many high-profile takedowns of dark web marketplaces, like Silk Road and Alphabay, show that no one is truly safe from law enforcement. The Scully case, though horrific, has had a lasting effect. It galvanized international resolve to fight online exploitation. It gave law enforcement agencies valuable experience in tracking criminals across borders. And it reminded the public of an essential truth: the Internet reflects humanity itself, its light and its darkness. Conclusion. The story of Daisy's destruction is not an easy one to tell. It represents the worst of what can happen when technology falls into the hands of those with evil intent. But it is also a story of justice, of investigators who refused to give up, of victims who were rescued, and of a world that learned the importance of standing together against exploitation. Peter Scully will never walk free again. His crimes left scars, but they also left lessons. The internet is powerful. It can connect us, inspire us, and empower us. But it can also conceal horrors. It is up to us, as societies, as governments, and as individuals, to shine light into those dark places. Because even in the darkest corners, the truth eventually comes to light.